are you guys 7-footers? It's Jenna.
And Gerard, we're here.
And we are back. Season 2, baby. Season 2, episode 2.
Episode 2.
Breaking down the first week and a half of NBA news, and it is
hot.
God.
It's been like 10 days, and this league is insane.
It's been 10 days.
Literally insane.
And I've already had probably 17 heart attacks, heart palpitations every day. Should probably call my doctor.
It's this league, but this is what makes this the best league in all of pro sports.
Very true, very
there's
true.
Just so much going on right now.
NBA Twitter is hotter than ever. The game is hotter than ever, clearly, and the players are going at it like crazy. From Spitgate to Joel Embiid flopping to get Andre Drummond kicked out of the game.
Yep.
It's been crazy. I'm tongue-tied because I can't handle it. So let's jump into it, and I think you guys can already guess what we're gonna kick today's episode off with. Spitgate. Dun dun dun. Rockets versus Lakers was one of the opening games of the season, and it ended in what is now being called Spitgate.
We gotta stop putting gate at the end of it. It's just so stupid.
It's Tom Brady. He started everything.
Well,
he's a trendsetter. I mean,
Watergate
come on.
started it all, obviously, but
in my generation.
I was gonna say you might have been alive when that was
in
happening.
My generation.
yes, but like everything gate is like, all right, enough.
Very true.
But yes, that was crazy.
So let's get into it here. We're on the court. We have CP3 and Rondo that get into a little bit of a scuffle. Verbal, all good, right under the basket in the paint, and all of a sudden, we didn't notice it first, but afterward, when we zoomed in on the footage, it appears as though Rondo is spitting in CP3's face. That's when CP3 reaches for Rondo's face. There was contact there. LBJ and Melo attempt to break a little bit up on the side. Brandon Ingram jumps in, who was not involved.
Well, if we were going to be fair, Brandon Ingram started this whole thing.
Okay,
right?
Tell us.
So, in that game, which, by the way, the Rockets won, James Harden was cooking that game. I think he finished with 30-something, and Brandon Ingram was on him for a decent amount of that, and he scored, and Ingram fouled him.
Yeah.
And Harden, I think, was walking towards, just doing his normal thing.
Yeah.
And Ingram shoved him away.
Very true. That went under the radar, though, because of what happened after.
But during that stoppage in play is when everything started.
Yes.
And so let's start with Brandon Ingram. I get it. Look. And I'm going to tie this to Jimmy Butler and the Minnesota Timberwolves in just 1 second. But Brandon Ingram, I get it. You're annoyed that Harden's cooking and it's bothering you. But, okay, instead, how about we don't shove him, right? And because then now we're starting this whole thing.
Let's take a step back.
He shoves him, okay, Harden doesn't do anything, he walks away, whatever. Rondo and CP3, who have a history of beef, get face to face.
Yes.
And then
that's not
things escalate from there.
Exactly. So that's everybody that was involved. That was low-key what happened. And it ended in an interesting discipline from the NBA. Suspension-wise, Rondo gets 3 games, Ingram gets 4, and CP3 gets 2. Now, first of all, before I get into what Rondo had to say after this.
Right.
Were the suspensions too light by the league?
Honestly, if this was the old NBA, where they were super concerned about fighting, yes. But this is the new NBA, and I don't think Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, is concerned about these guys and fighting.
Yeah.
Because really, this is the first, fight we've had with this current crop of players.
Very true.
These guys don't fight. That's not their thing.
No, it's not a thing that
this isn't Malice in the Palace.
Yeah.
And we love to go to Malice in the Palace as this line of demarcation, which in many ways it is, but we can go back to back in the day. Dr. J, Larry Bird, these guys actually fought. Kurt Rambis, dudes got clotheslined and knocked the hell out. That doesn't happen in this league anymore.
No.
And I don't think Adam's worried about that.
No, because he trusts the player.
Right. So I think that's why the suspensions were minimal in terms of number of games, but they were right in terms of who should have gotten the most, right? Ingram should have gotten the most because
I agree.
He started it by shoving Harden to start the whole thing in the first place.
He started it, but then he re-entered
and then he came back and started throwing haymakers. So he was number 1.
Yes. In the video footage, you can actually see Ingram run back in and hit somebody from behind.
And Rondo,
whether
or not he spit or didn't spit, he was the instigator in that situation with Paul So he should have gotten the most, and then Chris Paul.
Yes.
So yes,
okay.
that was right.
So, if you thought things were going to settle down there, they didn't. They only escalated, to be honest with you. Okay, Here's what we had after the games when everybody had something to say about everything. Melo, who was right next to CP3, says, this is on CP3 allegedly being spit on. Yeah, that's unacceptable. You don't do that. In sports, on the streets, that's blatant disrespectful right there.
Yep.
Agreed. If the spitting was intentional, I agree with what Melo had to say.
You don't spit on someone. That's just not a thing.
If
you're going to fight. Don't spit. Like, that's just,
And we also have to know LeBron James, Chris Paul's good friend, took him
Godfather
to the side.
to LeBron James' kids.
Yes, good point. Took him to the side to calm him down. Good move by LBJ. He's always a class act. I mean,
I'm biased, we're going to get into the LBJ love fest here.
LBJ. Had to mention him in the first one. Okay, now, Rondo isn't a man of many words, doesn't speak to the media a lot.
But when he does,
watch out. Because he spoke to ESPN, and this was released on October 23rd, after the game, obviously. And he said a pretty long quote, but it's very important that I think we should repeat this, okay? Okay. First, he made a point that he didn't spit intentionally. He noted that he had a mouth guard in. He spoke about how his body language didn't match someone of who would spit on
which is so classic Rondo, because he is like, the thing about Rondo is he's a very smart and cerebral guy, like, in general.
Yeah.
And so him breaking down his body language in the video, that's so classic Rondo.
He analyzed it like he was calling a game.
That is classic Rondo.
You guys will hear it right now. Okay, here it is, quote unquote. 1, if I spit on you, bottom line, there's not going to be no finger pointing. If you felt that I spit on you, then all bets are off. 2, look at my body language. If I spit on you on purpose, I'm going to be ready for a man to swing on me. You ain't gonna have my hands on my hips and my head look away at someone if I spit on them.
Look, there's validity in that, right?
There is. Because when you watch the tapes back, he was right.
Well, if you...
About his body language.
I mean, we at NBA Twitter went Zapruder film on this, right? We rewound it 85 times, did it from multiple angles.
Yes. It's what we do.
Projectile came out of Rondo's mouth and landed on CP3.
He did have a mouth guard in.
Whether or not he did it on purpose, we will never know because
we weren't there.
We weren't there, and we can only listen to what people said. Rondo said he didn't do it on purpose. CP3 says he did. The bottom line is these two just don't like each other, period.
No, they don't.
Okay? And it escalated more because you're going to go read us more of the quotes that Rondo had to say about this.
Okay, here we are, part 2. Of course the NBA went with his side because I got 3 games and he got 2. Everyone wants to believe Chris Paul is a good guy. They don't know he's a horrible teammate. They don't know how he treats people.
Scathing.
Look at what he did last year when he was in LA, trying to get to the Clippers locker room. They don't want to believe he's capable of taunting and igniting an incident. Either one.
Right. Either or.
Either or at this point. So then he said, exasperating and spitting are 2 different things. He comes out and says, I spit, and the media sides with that.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. Okay.
Let's start with the punishment that he said. Everybody sides with him. He got 3, and CP3 got 2. So, you said the punishment was fair.
Yes. To the external audience who aren't as tapped in and tied into the NBA as we are, or, don't go in the locker rooms and don't have sources or talk to people. Rondo is seen as, in many ways, a malcontent type of a guy, and Chris Paul is not seen quite as much as that.
I feel like Chris Paul is seen as more of the softer, fatherly, wiser,
older man. In many ways.
Yeah.
But those of us that know, and look, what we're going to say now is not about these guys and their play on the court.
Yeah.
Chris Paul is arguably the greatest, classic point guard of his generation.
Of course.
And when I say classic point guard, I mean in the old school way, in the sense of setting up your teammates first, that sort of thing. Because I know I'll have Golden State Warriors fans be like, Steph Curry's the best point guard. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But in terms of that old school,
before
Curry changed the definition of what we look at for lead guards,
it was Chris Paul's world.
Yes, in a classic point guard sense, Chris Paul is the best one of that old school type of point guard.
Very true. I agree.
And Chris is not an easy guy to play with. So I will...
Not the first time I've heard that.
He's not. If you watch Clipper games, and I've been to a bunch of Clipper games when I spent some time on the West Coast, and I watched enough Clipper games, Chris is a general out there, a little general. And he's always barking orders and telling his teammates where they need to be and what they need to have going on. And over 82 games plus the playoffs, that can get annoying.
Exactly.
And start grating on you.
People say that he did that,
right?
Speaking non-playoffs, people say that he did that when he was with the Clippers.
Right. He can grate on you. And that is his competitiveness.
Yeah.
And that can rub guys the wrong way to hear that constantly chirping. All right, Chris, I messed up. I'm sorry. I mean, it's like almost like he won't, like a dog with a bone, he won't let it go.
Absolutely.
And the argument is that when he messes up, he doesn't take the same sort of, take himself to task or doesn't take responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's problematic. Which, by the way, the history of the league, great players are hard to play with. Michael Jordan was not an easy teammate. Like, he punched Steve Kerr in the face. Like, he is not...
I forgot about
right?
that.
Like LeBron James, not an easy teammate, right? Because these guys demand so much excellence out of you. And if you cannot match their level,
exactly,
they have problems with that. And they may not have the best way to communicate how they feel about you not being on their level.
And that's why a ton of these greats get along so well. Hence, like you said, CP3 and LBJ, because
they understand.
On a different level.
And look, and that's not to say that I think CP3 is as good as LeBron James or Michael Jordan. So calm down, people. But there are players of a certain ilk and caliber that when they demand something from a teammate and the teammate cannot rise to that level, their brains cannot compute and they don't know how to articulate it verbally. Well, how can I get you to do what I need you to do?
And things get chippy.
It usually ends in a bad way, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Kobe Bryant, who, again, I don't think is as good as LeBron or Michael Jordan, but teammates didn't like him either because he would verbally berate them and because they don't understand. Why can't you just do what I'm telling you to do? Well, because they're not as good. Like what?
They can't operate in that way.
Right. They're not you. I don't know what you want. Like, they just can't do it.
I hear you.
They're NBA players, so they're excellent at basketball, but there's levels to this. You guys are on this level. They're maybe on this level, and it's just they can't, as they say, there's levels to this.
Exactly.
And these guys can't get there.
Exactly.
So there is some truth to what Rondo said about Chris being saying he's a bad teammate. I don't know that I'd go that far, but he's a very difficult teammate.
Here's my thing. No matter what comes out of people's mouths, and this goes for really any type of argument, whether it's in life or sports, whatever comes out of your mouth, unless you are a genuinely cold-hearted, evil person, there is some truth to everything that is said. Do we know it's true? No. Have we been in the locker rooms in this year, that year? No. Do I think it was a low blow for Rondo to go as far to say he's a bad teammate, he's this, he's that, bring up the LA Clippers situation? Yeah, I think it was a low blow. Yeah. You don't bring up the past. This is between you and him. I get it, you're heated. Give a good quote. Give your side of things. But
and he's attacking Chris Paul's character, which, by the way...
Exactly.
Again, with the whole truth thing, if we look back at Chris Paul's on-court play, Chris is kind of a dirty player when you watch him. Like
the D word.
And this goes back to his days at Wake Forest. He punched Julius Hodge below the belt. I mean... He did the same to Marc Gasol. In the playoffs last year, he elbowed Kevin Durant. I mean, listen, Chris has his And look, I'm not going to excuse Chris's behavior because those are unseemly and dirty plays. He's very much in that John Stockton mold, right? These little 6 foot, under 6 foot guys in a big man's league try to get whatever advantage they can. And oftentimes... that advantage is going to be, well, I'm little, they're not going to call me for this. I'm going to...
Yeah.
And they do it because they're not going to call that on a little guy. The refs just don't do that.
Yeah. Here's the last thing I say before we move on, too. Like we said before, these guys have a long history of beef. Doc Rivers even laughed about it in a press conference after his own game.
Right.
And said, I knew about this beef forever. It's this and that. This was bound to happen.
And also,
the ticking time bomb.
No doubt.
Ticking fast.
Which is great. We have a rivalry now, so whenever the Rockets and the Lakers play, it's going to be great. But I'm sure that the Daryl Morey subtweet was great.
Tell them about the subtweet.
So after Rondo made his comments, Morey put out on Twitter a photo of a pot and a kettle on the stove, which of
Daryl
course,
Morey can come run my Twitter account whenever he wants.
Of course. I mean, Daryl Morey is great at subtweeting and he gets it. And the NBA is great about letting this stuff go on, which of course we get the connotation there. Hello, pot, meet kettle. Rondo shouldn't be talking about who's a difficult team. Listen, that 08 Celtics team and the 09 and going forward, that team broke up and Ray Allen left. A large part of the reasoning why they weren't getting along was Rajon Rondo. Okay? So
here's the thing, though.
Let's just call that what it is.
Rondo is not going to change. We know that. Rondo is Rondo, especially him. He's not going to change. He's always been like this. Yes.
They are who they are.
Exactly. And what I thought was really interesting with all of this from Rondo's comments and everything, quite a few people came out and sided with Rondo, saying and agreeing out loud that CP3 is a bad teammate. Now, I have something really quick here. Ryan Hollins played with Chris Paul for 2 seasons, okay? We have Alex Kennedy, works at Hoops Hype, shout out, tweeted, I asked Hollins what he thought of Paul as a teammate, given the recent negative comments from Rondo and Glenn Davis. Quote unquote. He has some growing to do, Hollins said of Paul. Everything that glitters ain't gold. He's just one of a few that came out and said.
And Baby Davis also said.
Yeah. And said this about CP3. Nobody's innocent in this situation, in my opinion. But
no.
That's interesting that people come out and back Rondo, but I don't hear anybody about CP3.
Look at the 2 players who were backing Rondo. Ryan Hollins and Big Baby Davis. I mean, what are we just talking about there's levels to this, right? Maybe those guys were getting chastised because they weren't doing what Chris wanted them to do, because they just couldn't. Look, Ryan Hollins and Baby Davis are NBA players, so they're clearly good at basketball, but they're not in the upper echelon of basketball players. So.
I agree with you.
And these are Clippers guys who may be crying over spilled milk. Look, again, I'm not absolving Chris. He's the point guard, but he's also a little bit of a jerk and not that easy to play with. So I am accepting that. But Rondo, yo, homie, you ain't easy either. A playoff team basically got rid of you and said, we don't want you around here. The Dallas Mavericks. Come on, he is. It's
full
not
of facts.
It's not like Rondo is some choir boy who, right? You got your beef and your issues too. So
no, I agree. I think they both have things that are pros and cons about them. All we're gonna say is, at this point, it's not over.
Which, by the way,
it's the first week of the NBA.
To be
now
fair,
second week.
We all have our things, right? It isn't just those. I mean,
absolutely.
There are days I am not pleasant to deal with. I'm sure there's where you're not.
Of course,
I'm
a woman. I gotta do my hair.
It's just so we all have our things and our moments where we are not at our best and not great at things.
Yeah.
And that includes our favorite athletes, and they're not above this. That they're the same as we are. They're just really good at these things that pay them a lot of money. Yeah. That's all.
That is it, folks, and that's all she wrote. So let's move on here, and we're going to stick with the Lakers because right now, as you probably all know, they are 0-3.
Yeah, not playing
0-3.
well.
Not playing well right now, and let's highlight the most recent game, which LBJ, which I'm sure this was expected, got hit hard from Lakers and Kobe fans. Okay. Tell us who they played, Tron.
San Antonio Spurs.
That's right. They played the San Antonio Spurs. Overtime. Pop and LBJ had a sweet little moment on the court, but it did not end so sweet for the Lakers. Okay, it goes into OT. LBJ hits the game to tie the game up. Hits a 3. Clutch 3 from the same spot he always does in at the top of the key, little corner side. And ties up the game. Everybody's like, LBJ is a hero. LBJ is this, LBJ is that. Okay. This is really hard for me to admit, okay? Very hard for me to admit. Okay. He misses 2 crucial free throws. 2, not 1.
Hashtag Kobe would never. Just kidding. I don't believe that. Kobe's missed plenty of free throws.
It did trend, though, that Kobe would never miss these free throws. They say LBJ blew the game. So, did he blow the game?
Look.
Did he blow the game?
I mean, in the sense that those free throws would have won them, sure.
Yes.
So
when it comes down to,
sure.
Facts,
yes. But no. I mean, the reality is the Lakers aren't a very good roster.
What about when Patty Mills stunk that 3 and Lonzo Ball was not watching him from the top of the key? Lost his footing, actually. So that's a 3 right there at the end of the game.
The Lakers are bad defensively. They are not good defensively. I mean, they've given up high triple digits every game so far this season. They're not good on the defensive end. And part of that is their pace of play. They're third or fourth highest pace of play team in the league right now, which is odd for LeBron James because he doesn't only play in a high-paced game, so that's part of the reason why the scores are so high, but they're also not guarding anybody.
Yeah.
They're just not good right now. And I think that people need to understand that LeBron James is great, and as much as one player can affect a basketball game and a season, you need some other dudes around you. And right now, that squad is not the squad that's going to be the team that is going to compete for titles, which is the goal of Magic and Jeannie and Rob and all the folks in Lakerland.
I have a few points here, too.
Yeah.
And I think I do this, too, sometimes because obviously I'm a fan. And
Well, we're all, it's the greatest league in the world.
Exactly. And this is our job. But sometimes, you are in that fan mode.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I am one of those people that thinks LBJ is a superhero, which he is.
He is.
But we need to be patient with this Lakers squad.
Sure.
It's not going to be in 1 year that they're going to be competing for a title. Like you said, they need some players maybe in and out, move around a little bit.
Look at LeBron's history.
We need to be patient.
When he went to Miami, their first 25 games were 12 and 13 or something like that. I mean, and when he came back to Cleveland, they struggled for a bit. Mm-hmm. It's going to take time for those guys to get used to playing with a player the caliber of LeBron James.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some of them played with Kobe.
They're young.
But Kobe, listen, and Kobe stands, don't be coming in my mentions talking your mess. Kobe is a great player, a legendary player, top 10 all time. He is nowhere near the level of LeBron James. LeBron James is a transcendent superstar.
I love that.
Because he is.
He is.
They're not used to playing with someone of that caliber.
Yeah,
and
it's an adjustment for
his
everyone.
style of play, the way he plays, right, which is very different to how Kobe Bryant plays.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Kuzma and Lonzo didn't play with Kobe, but Ingram did, right? So it's some again. There's levels to this, right? And these guys are going to take some time. The Lakers also need to start shooting better, right? I mean,
they need better shooting. They need to get
they're
better
not
on
shooting
defense.
well, right?
Yeah.
And if this team doesn't shoot well, yikes.
And
it could be ugly.
And speaking of patience, a lot of people saying that LeBron blew the game and this and that. Okay. Don't get me wrong. You all are right about the free throws. All right, there, I said it. You're all right about the free throws, okay?
He should have made the free throws.
The game wouldn't have went into OT if he didn't knock down that three. That's all
Also
I'm saying.
true.
And like I said, we need to be patient. That doesn't mean LeBron James isn't doing LeBron James things.
Yeah.
He already has 50-plus points in the first 2 games. He's playing his game. It's an adjustment for everybody else as well as him to play with these young guys. And my question to you is it too soon to predict the chemistry, whether it's a fail or not, right now with the Lakers? Is it too early going into week 2?
Of course it is. Because, look, this is not the NFL, right? We don't do week 1, week 2. Look, if a team starts 0-4 in the NFL, problematic, because you only got 12 more games to go.
Yes.
This is an 82-game season. 82. So we are all prone to overreact over the first. We have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Small sample sizes. Let's not get crazy. Do the Lakers need to get better? Yes, but they've only played 3 or 4 games. Let's calm down. We have 82 more to go. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? Yes, I do. Are they going to be one of the 3 best teams in the Western Conference? No. Not the way they're currently structured. They're not better than Golden State. They're not better than Houston. They're not better than Denver. Are they better than Oklahoma City? We don't even know. Granted, Oklahoma City, which we'll talk about, I think, in our B block, not playing well either. But
True.
We need to wait. And the team the way it's currently constructed may not be the team what it's going to be like in April. So let's pump the brakes before we jump off a cliff, Laker fans. Before we're like, Kobe needs to come back. Calm down.
I agree. I agree with that one, for sure. It's definitely going to be interesting within these next few games to see with Rondo suspended. Now we have Lonzo starting in the point guard position. Yeah. I'm very curious to see how he's going to run the ball and play with LBJ because now it's his show for at least a few games.
I think I like Lonzo better in the starting lineup with LeBron because Lonzo is a ball mover, right?
One of the best passers in the league.
He's going to keep that ball moving, and that's infectious.
Yes.
And the ball's got energy when it moves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be, and that's what Luke wants. Luke Walton, the head coach of the Lakers. I think with Lonzo in that starting lineup, that's going to be way better. Yeah. Way better for them. And have Rondo come off the bench when he's back. Have him lead the second unit. Way better.
Exactly.
Way better.
And Kuzma's on fire too, dropped 30 the other night.
Yep.
So if
Yep.
they're playing at this rate and their ball movement, we have to admit, it's been so quick.
It
so
has been.
quick.
And that's why I like Lonzo in the starting lineup because he's gonna. I mean, Lonzo
the pace is fast.
And that's when you were playing with pace. That's what you need, and that's
Exactly.
what Lonzo does.
And that was one of their goals last season, to up the pace, and they have done that.
Top
so I
three
think
in the league in pace right now. So
exactly. I think the pace is super good right now, and we're going to see a lot out of these guys, especially with the suspensions going on right now. So let's end it on that note because we have to move on to
another team, another one of the more storied franchises in the NBA.
That's right, who aren't exactly meeting a lot of expectations in this first week of the NBA, the Boston Celtics. Where do we even start here, okay? Let's talk about how on the offensive end, they're a little bit off, we can say.
Yeah, not good.
I was trying to be nice, because as you know, I'm an Eastern Conference girl.
She's the nice one of this duo. I'm the, yeah.
I do. I really try to be the nice one. I do. So let's talk about how the Celtics have been a little bit weak on the offensive end with Hayward and Kyrie.
Yeah.
Now, both of them are coming off of injury. We're establishing chemistry on the floor for the first time. But this is a team that I personally have predicted to take the Warriors in the finals. We can dream, kids.
We know you're smoking on that one.
We can dream.
Look, yes, part of it is
we're weak.
They're
on the offensive
reworking
end.
Kyrie and Gordon Hayward into the starting lineup, right?
Kyrie's missing shots, though.
You got to remember, though, last year, particularly in the playoffs, first of all season without Gordon. And in the playoffs, no Kyrie. Tatum and Brown and these guys were used to playing a certain kind of way. But even then, the offense was not good last year. Okay, defensively they were fantastic, but offensively they were not great.
Very good defense.
It's time we start looking at how we talk about Brad Stevens. And I talked about this last season, I'm going to talk about it again. And I want this to be clear. I think Brad Stevens is a very, very good coach. But this rush that everyone is on to already crown him as the greatest coach in the NBA, it's like, whoa. Pump the brakes on all of that. What has Brad done and his teams on the offensive end? Watch the Celtics on the offensive side of the ball. They don't look great. Yes. Are his out of timeout plays great? Sure.
You have to admit he's a great play caller. A
lot of coaches are good out of timeouts, right? Doc Rivers is excellent out of timeouts. And I think Doc Rivers is a good coach as well. They run flex, they run a whole... Look, he's really good at that. But their offensive system, kind of stagnant. Like, in general, it just doesn't look fluid and crisp. Now, you could say part of that is Kyrie missing shots, sure. Tatum. But your best player out of the pick and roll is Gordon Hayward. He reads the game so well. You watch him. As great as Kyrie is good at getting shots for Kyrie. Kyrie is not a playmaker for others. That's not the strength of Kyrie's game. You know what the strength of Kyrie's game is? Uncle Drew will tell you. Getting buckets. That is what Kyrie is good at, getting buckets. Which,
great movie.
By the way, in the playoffs, when stuff breaks down, you need dudes who can get buckets. And Kyrie has proven that on the biggest stage.
Exactly.
He can get buckets.
Exactly.
He is not great at getting buckets for other people. And right now...
Clutch shooter.
Oh, yes.
He's a clutch shooter. Two different things between getting buckets and
that's
a
what
clutch
I'm saying.
shooter.
Kyrie, incredible at getting buckets for himself. Right? Which, cool. I love that. But this team right now needs some playmaking on it. And
I agree.
And it's not happening.
I agree.
And Gordon needs to, and he's working his way back from a horrific injury. Kyrie's working his way back from injury. The question is, how is Brad going to manage that with Tatum and with Brown and these guys who were used to playing a certain kind of way?
Well, here's my thing. I think that the Celtics have an incredible dynamic going on because just last week, and we are filming this on October 24th. So just last week, the first week of the NBA, Brad Stevens said that his best player was Kyrie Irving. But
do we think Brad believes that?
But from what we've seen from last season on Tatum's insane monster playoff run to what we're seeing now in the beginning of the season, do we think that Jason Tatum needs to be involved in that rotation of talk of who your best player is truly? Do you think Kyrie Irving is the Celtics' best player right now?
Today, yes, I think Kyrie is the Celtics' best player because.
And do we say that because of experience, or do we say that because?
Yes, because of what he's already accomplished in this league on the biggest stage. When the Cavaliers won their title, Kyrie hit the game-winning shot in Steph Curry's face in Game 7.
Absolutely. There is no tearing that down. But I mean, present day on the Celtics squad, green jersey, white jersey, you name it, whatever.
Look, I don't want this to sound like Jason Tatum like bashing, because I think Tatum's
absolutely not.
I think Tatum's great, but we need to slow down. Like, yeah, Tatum.
I'm on the Tatum train.
Tatum had some great games last year, but Tatum is only in his second year in the league, and we assume that based on what he did last year, he's going to make this exponential, huge leap this year. Look, and you and I talked about this offline. He may one day be as good as Kevin Durant or Anthony Davis. He ain't them now.
No.
He ain't nowhere near either of them now.
No.
He may
it's
never.
not possible.
He may never be that good now.
Yeah.
So we need to slow down and like start. Whoa. First of all, can Tatum make an All-Star team first? How about that? Can he make an All-NBA team once?
I'm not knocking it. These are just the.
Can he finish top 5 in the?
These are the questions that we need to ask, because these are the questions that people are talking about.
Based on his rookie season, does his future look bright? Yes, but your development isn't always linear, and it doesn't always do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, he may be as good as he's going to be right now in his whole career, which, by the way, is pretty freaking good, but not at that level.
I do think
there's levels to this.
I do think this will be an extremely interesting conversation down the stretch towards the end of the season, when we can evaluate what Kyrie has done this season and what Tatum has done this season.
Absolutely.
And you know me, I'm a Kyrie fan till the day I die. But this is definitely going to be a more interesting conversation down the stretch, depending on how this season goes.
And I think that's going to be Brad's challenge, right? I mean, the Celtics, when they overachieved early when Brad had them, right? Because no one expected anything.
Yeah.
Last year, without Kyrie, without Gordon, they went to the East Conference Finals with one game over the NBA Finals. Okay. So far, the Celtics with Brad have overperformed when they weren't expected to. They are now expected to be the class of the Eastern Conference and go to the finals and potentially challenge the Warriors. So with those expectations now, let's see how Brad coaches and how this team performs.
I agree, because like you said, they were underdogs going into everything. So any small victory was a big victory for them. But now the bar...
No longer underdogs now. We know who you are. Okay, your deepest team, 1 through 12, cool. Prove it now.
Yep.
Win 60-something games, number 1 seed, go to the NBA Finals, push the Warriors, potentially win it. Then we'll be like, okay,
that's what I think.
Brad, you got
That's what I think. Exactly. And I do have to say, side note, speaking of the Celtics, Scary Terry. Yeah. I love off the bench.
Yeah.
That kid's got fire.
Listen, again, 1 through 12, they're the deepest, most talented team in the NBA. The question is, how's Brad going to manage all of that going forward? And then in the playoffs, doesn't matter how deep you are, 1 through 12. It's usually 1 through 7 or 8 is what matters in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So who are those 7 or 8 guys? We'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. We have to move on to a game that had everybody on their toes. Last night, the Detroit Pistons versus the Philadelphia 76ers. There were so many things that happened during this game.
I know. We might have to eat some crow.
Okay, let's just talk about this. The Sixers did not come up with the W.
No. Lost
like everyone predicted. Lost in overtime, 133-132. We have a couple things we need to hit here first, okay? Redick.
Yeah. Redick played
hits
well.
A near impossible triple in transition off the dribble with 5 seconds left on the clock, okay?
Yep.
Incredible shot. JJ Redick, clutch shooter. I mean, it's no surprise there. And then things get a little bit more heated, okay? And Embiid.
JoJo. Love Joel.
Love him too. But this is something I did not favor because, you know, my boy's Andre Drummond.
Of course.
So we got Embiid and Drummond in the paint, okay? Embiid...
Who, by the way, Joe owns Drummond. Like, as he said, he owns real estate in his head. That's fact. He does. Joe's better than Drummond, and Drummond knows it, and it bothers him, I'm sure. But, hey, it's what it is. Continue.
I I can't wait to show Andre Drummond this video.
Yeah, so great. So then when I see Andre, like, I'm not talking to you. Yeah, great.
Because Andre, I got you. Okay, tweet me. But no, he loves you too. But I'm your fan.
Yes, he loves Jetta. Yes, fine.
Hey,
fair,
you can't knock the relationship. Good friends.
Andre, I'll see you on Halloween in Brooklyn at Barclays Center. We'll talk.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we get in the paint. Embiid and Drummond go at it a little bit. Friendly competition, obviously, and then a foul gets called.
Yeah.
And Embiid, I'm sorry, oversold it.
Oh, I mean, that was an Academy Award-winning performance.
It was the longest pause before a flop I have ever seen in my life.
He launched his whole body on the ground. I mean, it's,
And you could tell Andre Drummond, when he got a technical, got kicked out of the game, was like, what did I do? What are you talking about? Was it me? Okay?
Yeah.
And Joel Embiid, of course, is selling to the crowd, get him out of here, get him out of here. I think he's like twirling his finger like that.
Yeah.
And after, they had a little big man's beef online or in the post game, and Embiid said something along the lines of, I own real estate in his head, I got in his head, this and that.
Very true.
And Drummond said, what are you saying, basically? You're contradicting yourself. You want me in the game, right?
If you own me, you should want me on the court.
You should want me on the court.
Fair statement by Drummond, right?
Fair statement, and then said he could have gotten an Emmy for that.
Very true.
That performance of that flop. Then it came out later after the game. Granted, Drummond's kicked out already, and Embiid got a flop warning.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. No. Drummond shouldn't have been kicked out of the game.
Well, that was his second technical.
And I tweeted at him today, and I said that was a well-deserved break that you had because you notched a double-double, and you got the W, so... let's not knock Embiid. I didn't mean to cut you off, but he knocked down 33 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. So...
Joel is an interesting guy. Well, but in the sense that he understands what this is.
Yeah.
This is performance art and performance theater. People come to games to be entertained, and Joel is happy to entertain you.
Yes, he is.
He is a fun-loving, gregarious,
good guy.
He loves it. This is all. Listen. I know you fans at home take this stuff very seriously, but sports is entertainment. It's not life or death.
And that entertainment can be fun in this way, which it was between the two of them.
And Joel loves to go at, especially Drummond, because look, I own you, and he does. I mean, if you look at their head-to-head, Joel generally gets the best out of Andre. Andre, sorry, we'll talk on Halloween. I apologize. But, Andre was right in the sense that, well, if you own me, you should want me to be on the court so you can...
It was a good comeback.
Which is very true. But what I appreciate about Embiid, and we talked about this offline...
We did.
He keeps that same energy when he is dunked on by somebody else or you come back at him.
He owns it.
That's why I enjoy what he does, because he doesn't stop when he's losing, or he will clap it up when someone dunks on him or
Agreed.
And that's what I appreciate, because he can dish it and take it as well.
Agreed.
And that's what I think is great about him. He's also a hell of a basketball player, right?
On a real note, the improvement of Embiid from last season to this season, it's immense.
He's gotten better. Look, for
He's
my liking,
faster, tougher.
For my liking, because I think he can be among the best player in this league. He still turns the ball over a little bit too much for my liking.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little bit slow on his moves, his offensive moves. But as he continues, remember, this is only his second season.
A lot of people forget that.
I mean, I know he's been in the league technically for 3 or 4 years, but he's been hurt for most of that.
But the thing is, though, and we listen to old interviews and even current interviews with Joel Embiid, and this is what I really respect about him, aside from the fact that he can dish it and take it and admit when somebody's kicking his butt or not.
Yeah.
When he was sitting out and he was injured, he wasn't wasting his time.
Yeah.
He says, I was watching white guys up and down the court on YouTube
shooting
and this
threes,
and that, shooting threes.
He
really observed and educated himself. And he's a good guy who works on his game. I had the privilege of speaking with him this summer, and that loss in the playoffs last season really hurt him. And I think that he came back mentally and physically on another level.
It did.
So, like we said, big man's beef, all playful.
3, 2, 1. So, going back to Joel Embiid and what he does on the court, people call it antics. I don't think it's that. I just think, look, he's he's just having...
Antics sounds immature.
It does. He's having a good time.
And it's, yeah.
He's going to do that one day and catch someone on a day where they're not at their best, and they may swing at him.
Like a Draymond Green.
Or if it doesn't be Draymond, it could be anybody.
No, I'm just saying that for
Anthony
example.
Davis, could be anyone who's
I feel
just
like in the playoffs when things...
I've had enough, and they just take a swing.
Yeah.
And so he needs to be ready for that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Agreed. And he will be. I mean, nothing can get worse than Rondo and CP3 at this point.
Looking forward to chatting with Joel when the Sixers come to Brooklyn in a couple weeks. So that'll be fun.
Right. Now we need to move on to a potential MVP candidate and the leader of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Wow.
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is on another level than he has ever been this season. And you know what? I think that's due in part to when Boogie got hurt, when Boogie was in New Orleans, and Anthony Davis had to step up, and he did. And now he has that leader MVP type mentality, and he is just taking the Pelicans to another level. He just had a statement game, rolling with the Pelicans, a 3-0 start. Now, it was just another routine night for AD. Drops 34 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks against the Clippers in the first week. Wow. Wow. I have LBJ winning MVP, but I am telling you right now, if AD gets it, I will not be shocked.
So, we talked about this last week, and talk about it again here. Right before the season started, he sat down with Rachel Nichols, and he said he thinks he's the best player in the NBA.
He did.
And Rachel said to him, so Anthony, you know there are 2 players in the NBA, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Anthony wasn't, AD said, those guys are great players, and what they do is, and he was very much like, they're amazing. He's like, but I am top 5 MVP and also top 5 Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
And I don't disagree.
And that is the area where he separates himself now from Durant and LeBron.
Agreed.
LeBron at his peak was a great defender, but this is year 16 for LeBron. Like he cannot play that kind of defense like at this stage of his career, like all 82 games. But Davis,
they're just different players.
They're different players now. Davis, I mean, what he does on both ends of the floor, it's frightening.
He is. I said this about Kawhi last episode, but he is one of the best, if not right now in the league, the best two-way player.
He might be.
I think I need to see a little bit more out of Kawhi, but I think right now I can confidently say Anthony Davis, Giannis, KD,
monsters.
Kawhi.
These
best two-way players in the league.
I mean, Anthony Davis is playing like
he's playing like a true MVP candidate is playing.
That opening game against the Houston Rockets, I was like, oh my God.
Like, man, this is night 1.
I was like, geez, dude. But what I love about it was he backed it up, right? He's still the best player in the league. He came out on night 1 and said, I'm going to back it up. And so far, through the first 3 games of the season, has continued.
3-0 start for the Pelicans.
And he's doing his work.
What else can you say?
The fear for the Pelicans is that...
Is it enough?
Well, I think so with Drew Holiday. They're a playoff team. But the question, I'm going to... Because with Niko Mirotic, who's playing exceptionally well for New Orleans as well, can they keep Anthony Davis is the question.
Well, here's the thing.
History tells us no.
He becomes a free agent in 2020, and we won't spend a lot of time on this free agency talk because it's the second week of the NBA season. But important to note that he becomes a free agent in 2020, okay? We hear from Brian Windhurst of ESPN that people are already putting packages to get him. But here's the incentive. And this is what it is to me anyway, my opinion. There's 2 things. Number 1, does he want a ring? Does he want to win? Or does he want to become the highest paid player in the league, which the New Orleans Pelicans could make him in 2020 with the Supermax if he takes it? It comes down to what does AD want to do and who's going to offer him the best package deal.
Here's what I think.
You want to go with a superstar?
And here's what he believed to keep in mind.
Okay.
He switched agents.
And whose agent is he with, Gerard? Come on, tell people.
He is a client of Clutch Sports, and Rich Paul is his agent. Rich Paul, as you know, is also LeBron James' agent.
Like music to my ears. Like music to my ears, like a symphony in my ears.
Now, I'm not saying that AD's going to definitely wind up on the Lakers, but what I'm saying is...
We know Rich Paul does LBJ things behind the scenes.
We know that. Look, Boston has a lot of assets they can trade to get Anthony Davis. And I'm telling you right now, today.
Don't you?
Today. Listen. I get that you all are like, Jason Tatum's untouchable. I don't even know what...
Oh, I love when you break it down like this, though. I love when you break it down.
Well, because
Tell me.
Jason Tatum may never be Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis today, right now.
And how old is he, man? He's like 26.
He's young. He's not 30, right? I mean, so...
He's got 20. Oh, my God. He's 26.
I'm just saying.
We're just seeing Anthony Davis at his peak, in my opinion.
Listen, I think he's just beginning to enter his peak right now.
Exactly.
Frightening.
Ooh.
Frightening. You got chills. You're like, whoa.
I know, I really do.
Frightening. No, listen, AD's legit, man.
Wow.
Him, Giannis, listen, this league, this is why the NBA is still great. I mean, the talent.
We can do a whole pod on just why the NBA is great.
The talent.
We should send it to NBA and be like, hey,
right.
what's up?
The talent in this league is just, listen, NBA, holler at your boy and your girl. We're happy to work for you guys. We'll move to Atlanta. Whatever, it's fine.
I hear the ATL's nice.
Listen, we'll hang out with Quavo and all the Migos.
And Trae Young.
Oh, Lord. We're going to get the Trae Young and the B block of this.
We will.
Sure.
Next segment. Stay tuned.
But yeah, man. I mean, the league's in great shape.
It really is. I mean, there's nothing more to say about Anthony Davis besides we want more Anthony Davis.
Want to see more AD. So all of you have League Pass out there, the Pelicans should be number one of your top League Pass teams to watch Anthony
thought
Davis.
the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, we're going to talk about... I mean, yes. Last week, I did say I would watch the first 12.
We'll get to that in the next segment.
We'll get to that. I mean, yes.
All right.
They have been on my League Pass, but
You know what? Why don't you roll us into the last topic of Hot Topics? This is your boy.
Oh, Jokic. Nikola Jokic,
Is he underrated?
So I think the basketball Twitter and like the basketball like nerds love Jokic and the way he's playing right now with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, woo! He had a 32.
Give me the stat.
He had a 35, 12, 11, and 4, which is a triple double.
While shooting
100% from the field. He didn't miss any shots.
The only other one to do was
Will Chamberlain. You might have heard of him.
Maybe.
He scored 100 points in a game once.
Oh my God.
Right.
God.
Yes.
I love the NBA.
Wilt Chamberlain, one of the 5 greatest players of all time. 6, 7,
yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Wilt, oh my God. But yeah, look, I'm not saying Jokic is Wilt Chamberlain, but listen.
But he's knocking up stats.
Listen.
In that lane.
Jokic is incredible. I just love
I think people are sleeping though.
I love the way he's playing Denver. Now, the Will Barton injury is gonna hurt them, but woo! I like that Denver squad.
And you know what? While we're on the topic of Denver, why don't we just give them the credit that they deserve of rolling over the Warriors?
Well, it wasn't a roll over. They didn't blow
For
them out.
anyone to beat the Warriors, I don't care what you call it. It's a roll, it's a win, it's a W, it's a victory. It is a roll.
Listen, they did beat the Warriors. Excellent game. At home for
Denver, baby.
Listen, and Denver played good defense against them.
IT Michael Porter Jr. Denver.
And IT Michael haven't even played yet, and honestly,
and they beat the Warriors. So.
And honestly,
why are you sleeping on Denver, kids? Why are you sleeping on Denver?
Guys, Denver, Jokic, Jamal Murray. Listen, that team, that team is very, very good up there in the Rocky Mountains.
You know what I have to say while we wrap this up? The NBA is so interesting this season because teams that, I'm not going to lie, that you and I would kind of give a lot of flack to, the Sacramento Kings, the Suns,
Pistons.
the Nuggets, the Pistons. I'm sorry, but man, I'll be the first to admit I'm eating my words.
Listen, it's only been the first 3 or 4 games. Check back with us mid-season. We'll see where they're all at. But
this is why I'm the nice one, guys. If you're ever hurting on your squads, you come to me. I'll lift you up. I got you. And he'll tell you what you need to hear when you need to hear it. So it's the perfect mixture. Now we will meet you guys in our next segment of episode 2. So don't go anywhere.
Thanks for staying tuned.
Thanks, guys.